Hey beautiful people, so welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we are going to talk about what you do if you feel that you are called to serve but you're scared. And it is so natural to be scared. We are being perceived by more people than we've ever have before, and this doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. Being on social media, using technology, and also just the way people interact with each other now that we have the internet and social media, being more comfortable saying whatever they feel like, it is really important to be able to know how to handle that and how to regulate your emotions when you are experiencing that. So I figure, why not make a video sharing some of my tips and also like what I've gathered from this experience of showing up online and being on social media for over a decade. So I started on social media on my Instagram account, and that was in 2012. And I had a travel blog at the time. That travel blog, I gained traction, people were interested, but I honestly didn't really know how to monetize it. And I also started to lose the passion for it because I moved to California and fell in love with acting, and I just couldn't afford, while I was like a struggling actor, to be traveling and going places on my dime as I was trying to build my blog. So with that, I naturally was just sharing my life and my journey on social media, and I gained following. And some of that following I got because I was working as a marketing fellow for a tech company, and I learned how to growth hack. So growth hacking is a tool that was used a lot by a lot of companies that are huge on social media now, because they understood that they can use a third-party app and help them find followers and people who would be interested in their content while they were asleep. And of course, now there's a lot of judgment about that, and it's fair, but I think that what people don't realize is a lot of the companies that are huge on social media now started that way. And it wasn't necessarily that they were buying followers or doing anything shady. They were just understanding SEO and had the right tools at the time to grow. For me, though, I didn't really have a reason to use it. So I very quickly stopped using those growth hacks. And then my account naturally started to grow because people just saw that I was an actor. I had it. When you have a following, it does beget more following. It can. So at the time, that's what happened. And I enjoyed it. Like, I started to partner with brands, specifically within yoga, because I was sharing my yoga journey. I was doing wellness challenges and yoga challenges, and I absolutely just loved sharing my journey online. For me, it was a spiritual experience. I kind of treated it like an entry out of a diary. So fast forward to who I am now and what I'm doing. So I have since then, the pandemic happened. I was still working on set. I also was working at a restaurant when the pandemic happened. I stopped working at a restaurant and SAG-AFTRA went on strike. And it was also a pandemic, and I fell in love and had a baby. So a lot of things happened. And with that, I had to find my purpose in serving, because now I didn't want to just show up online for vanity metrics. It wasn't about posting my cute picture or traveling, but it now became about, how do I create community and find people who are interested in the same things I am. And for many people who know me personally, they know that spirituality has always been a part of my life. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and then at 18, when I left the organization, I went on my hero's journey, basically, of figuring out what was my connection to spirit and source, and what was my connection to God, and how did I want to show up in the world and live a life that is spiritual but also true to me. And with that journey, it brought me to learning and studying astrology and tarot and human design, right? So when I started studying all these things, I was so big on wanting to tell, share, friends and families, and just like let people know all this information I was learning. Well, as we know, the reality is, when you are someone who's kind of like a wallflower or just unique, you don't necessarily, or the black sheep, like what you do or your interests don't necessarily fit in with the community that's around you. You may be surprised when they're not responding or receiving the information you're giving, right? And for me, I was so used to that validation of the things I did. I pretty much anything I did, it turned to gold. It did well, or it grew, or it was given praise. So, this journey of creating for social media has become super humbling, because then I had to look at, why was I creating and what was the point of what I was creating. And I really had to sit with myself and say, like, and it's very humbling, because trust me, when you stop posting like the cute bikini pictures and you're moving out of, for me particularly, from the maiden stage into the mother's era of my life, you realize how much people are focused on vanity and how much the world promotes what they see as beautiful over sometimes value. And that concerned me. And that is why I was so moved to make this video, because now I'm realizing what we promote is what becomes our future in the world. And I don't want to throw out names or trends or things that are happening in the world, but I think you are aware that we are elevating celebrities. We are elevating people who make us laugh, and sometimes that's a good thing, because the world, of course, needs positivity and laughter and joy. But sometimes these jokes can be based in very crass, demeaning, or harmful stereotypes, and it continues to perpetuate them because we are now poking fun and finding humor. So when I say all that, what I'm saying is, what can we do, and as creators, to create the world that we want to see, that can still be humorous, that can still be artsy, that can still be sensual, but also respectful of all the people, or, as you know, a majority. Like, let's just get to a majority first, guys. A majority of people, and move the collective towards the direction we want to see. So I have my notes here. I am a chatty person, so I know I'm not going to edit this, because I feel like the details matter. And also because I'll talk a little bit more about, when you feel called to serve, sometimes you just have to show up, and it doesn't matter how perfect it is, because no one's perfect. So relatability actually comes from just choosing to show up as you are, and people will find you and relate to you. So I did tell you guys my spiel, but overall, if I was to give you guys a quick little about me, my name is Nicole. I'm a mom, I'm a wellness entrepreneur, and I've done lifestyle influencing. I'm also a SAG actress. And with that, and a human design reader. I do esoteric readings on the charts. So if that is something, or those things interest you, let's chat. So here is what I wrote about this, because originally, like, this came literally just now. I was watching a TikTok, and I'll link the TikTok, because I realized that a lot of people are struggling, and this is why we have spiritualists and TikTok creators and YouTube creators talking about showing up and posting your content online and being of service, because we're realizing that we need good people to speak up, because the people we have in office, we're not loving what they're doing. We're seeing a lot of traumatic things happen in the world. For me in particular, there was this one news story that happened in Los Angeles today with a mom who, it seemed like she had like maybe a postpartum mental break, and a lot of horrible, horrific things happened because of her journey and experience, and including her passing away. And it just made me feel like, I wonder if, I know this kind of is a leap, but what if the content we're creating and making could have changed that for her? Maybe she could have read something really inspirational or motivational, and her mind, her spirit could have made a different decision. So with that, it just made me really think about, the moments I don't feel like showing up. Like right now, it's 1:23 in the morning, Wednesday, April 10th. I'm really, really tired. But when you read really traumatic stories like that, it makes you wonder how the world can change and be better.
especially for our children. So anyway, so I want to talk to people who are called to serve and are scared because of what naysayers might say, the lack of support they receive, the judgment from people who may have seen them grow online before and feels like they're fake or phony because they're not on your personal journey. I want to talk about how we can move past that and how we can show up so that the people who actually need to hear our message, who actually care to listen, who may not have even known we had a message to share, we can get it to them. So first I wanted to talk, and I have my notes because I'm tired. I'm a mom, so a lot of times when it's this late and I'm finally getting a moment to myself to really do anything, but I'm choosing to record, it's really important that I have my notes. So the first thing is knowing your role in the matriarchy. So if you're called to serve, it's really important to know the role that you're called to serve. And I use the term matriarchy because I am going to be, I think my audience one is mostly female, but I am going to be reading from the Kwan Book of Changes, which is the feminine version of the Chinese I Ching. The Chinese I Ching and a lot of religious texts are written from a patriarchal standpoint because a lot of times it was kings and leaders of the country that were getting these works commissioned, or, you know, paying into the guild for the artists or creators to, you know, conserve the information. So with that, Diane Stein decided to create the feminine version of the I Ching in hopes to bring wholeness to the work of the I Ching and bring wholeness and show the polarity. And I think that talking about this as we just had experienced the solar eclipse, the total solar eclipse, just yesterday, I think it's really, or was it? Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Well, technically, for me, I like to say it's nighttime when I go to bed, or it's a new day after when I wake up the next day. So technically, it was 2 days ago. So it was on Sunday, but I do think the timing around the solar eclipse is important because the solar eclipse is about the moon passing over the sun and blocking the sun from the earth. And with that, it's kind of like the moon and the sun are masculine and feminine yang energy, and yin, masculine and feminine energy, yang energy and yin energy. So with that, it's kind of like they were having coitus up there. The sun and the moon were intermingling. And with that, we now have this wholeness and this new beginning that we will be experiencing from the solar eclipse. So I wanted to talk about the matriarchy because if we're talking about service, and we need to know our skills and we need to know where we fall within that. So I might say matriarchy, but you can also kind of see the polarity if you just think about it from a masculine standpoint, if you are a male watching and want to have that understanding. So the Kwan Book of Changes is composed for only women. There are no male principles in her at all, and the male pronoun he or the neutral pronoun it are not employed in the present tense philosophy or text. The women of matriarchy participate in many roles within her, and every woman is every role. There are wise women, and the wise woman in the I Ching is also seen as hexagram 26, which is when you read the contemplation for it, it mentions the midwife. And when I think about my midwife, oh my God, she's a wise woman. And the midwives, because I've had multiple midwives for my first birth, and they are the wise women. They're grounding and they come out when they need to. And I'll read that. So it says, there are the wise woman, the priestess, the mother and daughter, and the sisters who are all of these. The wise woman is the sage, scholar, and healer who chooses to withdraw from the cares of daily matriarchal government. She chooses aloneness as an affirmation. Though she is not active in group decision making, she is welcomed as a vital woman in the community. She is respected and reverenced for what she gives, and respected as well for what she chooses not to share. She is the crone or hermit of the tarot. Nowhere is her age designated or restricted in any way, nor is age specified or restricted in any of these roles. So here, if you're the wise woman or sage, you may have a path of a solo journey or a hero's journey or being alone, because when you are meant to come out and heal, which is the Wu energy in the Chinese I Ching,
that is after you've had your time of affirmation within your aloneness. Now it says the next woman of matriarchy is the priestess. And again, she corresponds to a tarot card, the high priestess of the major arcana. She is matriarchy's channel and liaison to the goddess, the woman who controls the raising and grounding of spiritual power and the teacher of mysteries to all women. She is a role each woman participates in, and each woman who chooses to do so becomes her. The priestess is matriarchy's connectedness to the wheel of life, to the cycles and harmonies of the earth and universe. She leads ritual and observes and directs the Sabbath and Esbat ceremonies, but even more importantly, she connects the woman of matriarchy with the spiral of the goddess in their daily lives. So again, these are speaking of different roles. One person can be many of these roles. Of course, you can't be all of them at once. There's, of course, different seasons and times and moments. But what I love about even the priestess, I can think of spiritual creators like myself. It's priestess energy. We are following the moon cycles. I do new moon and full moon readings. I also think of like Leora Alexandra, who also does the same, and new moon readings. And I think she actually observes the Sabbath. So with that, and I don't want to speak out of turn, it's just, it intuitively came to me. Maybe she doesn't, but in the sense of observing ceremonies that are around nature cycles and the moon cycles and the spiral. And if you're doing that, there's more focus on content creation or creation and facilitation than consuming and being someone who is consuming content. So now it says a mother in this book may be a woman who bears a child, but she is also a leader in the government or matriarchy. This book is named for her and the mother aspect of the goddess as well, for without her tact and her skills at organizing and unifying women in groups, there would be no matriarchy at all. So I'm going to talk about Gate 7 in a little bit, and this is really the energy I want to hone in on, because when you are a mother, you are a facilitator and you are someone who is helping to lead and guide people. It says her skills at organizing and unifying women in groups. It's about the unifying and bringing together the army, bringing people together based on their skills so that we can uplift and amplify each other's skills and not necessarily be in a situation of hierarchy that we see in many influencer culture, and what we see in influencer culture and also within celebrity culture. We see that there's this hierarchy of there has to be someone who feels inferior and someone who feels superior, and we see that this is not the case. The I Ching talks about the need for all forms of the matriarchy and all participants of the matriarchy, and that when everyone is doing their skill, that we actually can see success, right? So it says, she is a woman who is clear and connected, who is empathetic and aware. She has the ability to listen, to analyze and soothe, and to take bold and vital action when the time to act arrives. She is the empress in the tarot, healing and nurturing. When she rules in matriarchy, she does so by choice of the women around her. So she's also chosen to do this, which you can think of when people choose to follow you. And when you understand that people choose to follow you, you come to serve with so much more humbleness and grace, because you know that no one has to watch your video. Like, no one has to watch this right now. This is for the person who wants to watch it. And then when they take the time to, I am so appreciative, because I get to feel seen. I get to know that this wisdom matters, right? I know it matters, but I get to get that validation of, consciousness is allowing the collective to accept this message right now. So it says, when she rules in matriarchy, she does so by choice of the women around her and by force of their love. She walks in beauty and she walks in caring. She is the woman who teaches the daughters, and her sisters come to her in need. So now let's get to the daughters and the sisters. These are the women who are the ones who are following, and we're all daughters and sisters. I continually still do look at other people's content and watch and gain information, and I have mentors. I think that's really, really important, to not see yourself as someone who has learned everything you need to learn in life, but know that a student can teach, but a student is always a student of life, right? The daughter of matriarchy is nurtured in a, wait, excuse me. The daughter in matriarchy is any woman of age who comes to another woman to learn, and she is also the joyous lake of free potential that is the child. The daughter of matriarchy is nurtured in a space of safety and of love. She is taught with gentleness by the mothers of matriarchy and the priestesses, encouraged to reach out and grow while being protected from harm. In the tarot, the daughter is perhaps the fool of the major arcana, the first innocent beginnings, potential, hope, and newness embodied in joy. She is springtime and brightness, the future of the matriarchy, perfect trust and flowing love. And then the other woman on the Kwan Book of Changes are spiritual woman and superior woman, and they are all of us. This is when we are our enlightened selves. I feel like the spiritual woman is the person that's in tune with their soul, and then the superior woman is the person that's in tune with their values, which we know is kind of one and the same, but I'll read it. So it says, the superior woman is one who seeks. She is the one asking questions of the oracle and the one to whom an I Ching reading is directed. So the superior woman is seeking, looking for information because she's about her values, about self-development, about growth. She is the significator of the tarot. She is oneself, the woman of matriarchy. The spiritual woman and superior woman are interchangeable terms, one applying to the universal and the other to earthly living. Just as part 1 of the hexagrams are universal and spiritually directed, and part 2 are earthly and mundane. And the spiritual and superior woman are women who seek deeply. They are the daughter, mother, priestess, wise woman, sister, the self and the other, the lover and the loved. So the reason why I wanted to go over the roles is because in order to serve, you got to know where you land. You may not be in the space to start creating content, as I mentioned my previous space as a travel blogger when I did grow, because I genuinely grew out of enthusiasm and passion, but I didn't grow because I had a strong purpose or direction, which is why I struggled to monetize. And the moment that I couldn't really figure out how to get it off the ground, I just decided to move into another direction. Also, the season of my life I was in at that time, I was really in a positive, I started my blog initially, like the spark that started that travel blog was positive, right? But the journey and also some of the experiences that were tied within that were pretty traumatic. So with that, I don't know if I wanted that to be the thing that popped off, because it holds so much like sad memories for me at the same time. And I'm really happy because I also felt like it would have stifled my awareness, because I would have just created this job where I got to just do this thing that I loved. And who knows, I probably could have grown within that too. But I don't know if I would have had such a strong commitment to wanting to serve, or, learning to settle in the sense of being more rooted. I knew that for me, there was a period where I was traveling, but I also felt like I was traveling because I didn't enjoy where I was, and that was New York City. Once I moved to California, I started enjoying my overall quality of life, and I realized it wasn't so much needing to leave all the time that I needed, but I needed to just be more rooted in my life, and my life needed purpose, which purpose can come through the spouse you choose. It can come through your children. As for me, my journey of having my child, really, I feel like my purpose was there. I had a real desire to share spiritual knowledge and travel and show people that you can live an inspired life. But it was having my daughter that made me realize, oh no, like, you got to be the change you want to see in the world, because then this is the world we're leaving for her. So know what season of life you're in. If you're someone who needs to really just be educating yourself and learning, or if you know that you can do both, you know that you kind of just want to start where you are and be okay with where the journey takes you. That is beautiful too. But having that level of intention at the beginning of your journey is so, so important, because it will help you handle being seen by people, especially people who may come across your content and respond poorly to it, because that is unfortunately the truth with social media. So now that we've talked a little bit about the roles, I'm going to actually read Gate 7 because Gate 7 is about the army. And if you are going to be serving, you need to know how to be in the army, right? How to serve. So hexagram 7, it's called the women here. It's called the women or sisters here in the gene keys and human design. It's often just called the army, and it's also, it could be called the general, I guess, if you want to think of like the masculine term for it. So the elements are earth over water. It says the trigram Kwan is located under the trigram of earth, and the images are an underground lake. Woman's resources are pooled in matriarchy as an underground well. They are there as needed and are the wellspring of matriarchal strength. The qualities of the trigrams flow in receptive harmony, the qualities of a consensus population. The women are sisters in community and are the life source and endurance of matriarchy. So I'm going to read just the contemplation for the center to give you guys an overall reflection of this hexagram. And here it says, women are matriarchy, blessings. The women flow from the source. Matriarchy prospers and blesses. The women are individuals with individual needs who become a nation for the good of all. To do so, each participates in the starting and running of matriarchy. They build and create her by their own empowerment. With the consensus leadership of the mothers communally, why can't I say that word? Communally, and the priestesses spiritually, the sisters learn to work together and utilize their skills. They are confident in their goals and in each other. They choose as mothers women who are skilled in order. They choose as priestesses women who are connected in the cycles of the universe. The sisters develop a system of moral justice by these lights, and they work by consensus to decide how the matriarchy is run. Each woman has skills that benefit the community, and no skills are wasted. With goodness, equality, and continuing, matriarchy succeeds. Reflection, water in the earth, the woman, the superior woman. Water rests within the earth and become the source of nourishment, the root of life. The women are the source of matriarchy, without which she could not exist. By their receptivity, matriarchy is established. By their flowing, she grows and is affirmed. By the waters of life that rise to nourish the earth bears fruit. In matriarchy, the sisters do the building and creating with skill and devotion. The women together are the birth and nourishment of their world. So think about it. When we think about like water is nourishing. When you think about the videos you watch or the content you consume, it can be nourishing. It can be like water for you. So as it mentions here, think about it. If it's water, then the water that we are putting into the earth, as it mentions, it's like a water being in a well or underground because it's just sitting there. I kind of view my YouTube channel as that. It's a lot of information, but it's a well of information ready for the person who is meant to receive it. And if we think about content creation in that way, that we are creating water with our words and with the information we share, imagine how much more impactful the things we can create can be for the planet. So now let's hop back to my notes. I can't believe this video is already 30 minutes, but I can. So when we contemplate on Gate 7, that we all have a purpose, we all have a skill set, we all have a role to make this army. And this army is really our defense, or our defense for how we want the planet to be in terms of how we want the world as it is to look like. Then we want it to be strong. We want it to be the best people. We want it to be people who have integrity, who are spiritually minded, who understand yin and yang, and who are not just consuming logic-based information, but also understand nature cycles and spiritual like contemplation, and as well as quantum mechanics and chaos theory, because even within logic, it's still theory, right? Because there's still an element of mystery. And what I feel is we are needing to honor that. We are needing to honor the divine feminine and the rise of the matriarchy. So as I prepare for that, I want to make sure that the water is there. So now let's talk about the truth of social media. So I wrote relate to Gene Key 17 Omniscience. So social media is where we leave our opinions. Whatever you put on social media, you are leaving some sort of logical pattern, that or thought process that you've created, or not, I shouldn't say created, but that you have on that, and belief systems that usually come from whatever conditioning you've grown up around. So with that, we can often be supporting opinions that don't truly reflect our own just by consuming content or resharing content that other people put out that may not truly, like down to every word, reflect our voice and our thoughts. And with that, that slight like telephone that can be happening with that, it can leave room for what your opinions are, your personal opinions are, but it also can leave room for more negative thought forms being perpetuated in the world, when you might think it's funny, but you might not know that it doesn't necessarily need to be something that sits out in the universe forever. Well, that's what social media is. That's what the internet is. It's basically kind of creating like the akasha on this plane, in a sense. We have this program that we can now see everyone's thoughts and opinions on a single post. So it's kind of allowing consciousness to do its job of playing out all forms and situations. So why don't we let consciousness play out some positive situations, right? And we can do that by creating it and creating the content for it. And when we do that, we start to move up the frequencies. So the shadow frequency of Gene Key 17, the Gene Key of following, or Human Design Gate of following, it is opinion, because opinions can actually limit our worldview. When we move into the gift energy is farsightedness, is using those logical patterns to now project into the future what we want to see, right? So my opinion is that the world can be a better place. That opinion is based on what I have seen and my conditioning. But I also can use that opinion and actually go out and take active steps on making my world a better place, even if it's just my home, right? So, yeah, think about that. When you move from the gift frequency into the city or highest frequency, we're moving into omniscience. This is now being able to predict the future, because not only are you able to have an opinion based on what you do know, your conditioning, but you also can now have an opinion based on where you see the world trending to, because you're like, because your opinion might be valid, right? You might be like, my opinion is we can have world peace by 2027. That would be dope, right? But based on what it seems like each generation has to go through and where we are right now in the grand scheme of things, I don't know about 2027, right? But I can still have that awareness and project into the future a better future. So part of being omniscient is really being able to be in alignment with the time as well as with the thought, if that makes any sense. So think about that. And if you are someone who knows that you are naturally very farsighted, you have the gift of being able to see or predict certain things, you're really intuitive, even though this is not necessarily about intuition. But when you hit the city frequency basically, it's the polarity. So the city frequency is like deciding to leave behind completely the actual life theme. So for example, if Gene Key 17, Human Design Gate 17 is about logical patterns and, the right side of the brain, more structure, then I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I'm so tired, y'all. Let me make sure I get the brain hemispheres right. The digital left hemisphere of the brain, guys. Okay, so it's the left hemisphere. So with that, it's, oh, I'm tired. Yeah, I get really anxious, and this is another thing. You could be called to serve, but you're scared because you want to share really deep information, and it's, you've studied it, right? But the anxiousness you might experience because you know you're dealing with opinions, for me in particular, human design and the gene keys is such a logical system that when you start speaking spirituality and esoterics in relation to it, people on who are in the industries, particularly, especially who are making money off of sharing this information, they can get very up in arms when they feel like you say something wrong. So it makes me kind of uncomfortable to share it, even though I'm very passionate about it. So again, giving you guys all these details because I know as small creators, you might be experiencing similar things and you need to hear someone else going through very similar things you're going through to know that you can push past that. You can push that upper limit and know that, oh, this is part of the process. This is part of the process, right? So, yeah, the truth of social media is whatever content you create is going to receive some backlash, specifically as a spiritual creator. There are people who spirituality is quite subjective. So with that, people are going to be up in arms about something you say. Whether you're talking about Jesus, God, Buddha, the I Ching, people going to have problems. Next is we need farsighted people speaking online. If you are someone who has the gift of omniscience, you have opinions that slap, you understand the trends, you understand what people need to hear, be a voice, stand up in your opinion, because sometimes what people are hearing are opinions that are slightly skewed for another person's differentiation. And what they really need is your specific voice. But if you're uncomfortable sharing, if you're scared because you don't want to be blocked or shadow banned or all those things, then it's going to be you. You're going to shadow ban yourself. So next is releasing judgment. So I'm going to talk about gate 18. Because we're being perceived more than ever, it's easy to start perceiving people. I'm going to speak very quickly about being in a friendship with someone who I felt like started to, the very things they admired about me, and I felt like they seemed very inspired by me. They would often even want to copy me, but then they started projecting on me. And it was because they felt a lot of self-judgment because I was very comfortable being myself and they were not in that space at the time. And I didn't realize that over time, that friendship caused me to start judging myself in ways that I never cared about or did, or start being worried about what people think. And with that, it does chip away. It chips away at your identity, it chips away at your ego. You realize you start second guessing yourself about a lot of things that you shouldn't second guess yourself about. And it all stems from their issues, their personal issues and their insecurities. But now you now have this wound of judgment. And then when you feel judged, it's so easy to start walking around and judging other people because now you're angry from that judgment. So judgment is something that we also experience when we are going through our teenage years. So around the time we're 18, when we go through that 14 to 21 period of our lives, we are going through our mental development. And when we are not being empowered by our family members and by the people around us, they can leave us with this shadow frequency of gate 18, which is the victim mind, which is feeling like we are our judgments when we are not. And it's really, really important to learn to release those judgments, because a lot of times those judgments have you acting out against authority. And now you're really not showing up as yourself because you are responding to the judgment and not just living in your authenticity. So, ways we avoid responding to judgment is staying away from judgmental people. Oh my God, stay away from the pick me's, stay away from judgmental people. Pick me's are very judgmental people. And a big part of it is because they don't value themselves and they center men. And then they perpetuate that cycle by making you feel like you need to center men. Men are beautiful, but part of this journey of coming into equilibrium as a society is understanding the power in both genders and knowing that we can uplift men and we can uplift women without putting any of them on a pedestal, right? So that was a little off tangent, but it's really, really important because I feel like there's also so many conversations that are rooted in gender wars online. And when you get caught up in that, it starts to dull your opinion. It starts to change or distort the true message of what you're sharing, because maybe you want to say people are capable of doing this, but when you say men only do this and men only do that, now you might have someone who'd be like, that's kind of true, but I can't share this because this is so rooted in, you know, being negative towards one group of people. So think about that when you're creating content. Are you prioritizing one gender over another? If so, what is the benefit of that and why? And it could be because your audience is women, but also are you bashing men? Think about that. Now, if people need to be bashed, know that that's opinion that can be honored too. Right now, I have a friend who is on TikTok and she loves to talk pop culture. I'm not necessarily a big pop culture fan in terms of what I see myself pushing forward in the collective, even though I do enjoy it. But I see the value in her creating this content and sharing with people, and particularly talking about things that need to be addressed in the collective. So, particularly, she's talking about quiet on set. She's also talked about a famous celebrity that a lot of people are realizing may not be the nicest to people. So maybe we can start holding them accountable. So these conversations are important, but let's focus on driving the collective forward with the things that are going to help change it. Let's have these opening conversations to change it, but not to continue perpetuating the cycle of high consumerism, materialism, celebrity culture. There's value in amplifying people who share wisdom, but there's also, could we also hold people accountable when we are not seeing them share wisdom or value and we see them perpetuating stereotypes that aren't raising the vibration of the world? I'm just saying. I think, and you hear my frustration because I think we're all just starting to get sick of it. Like, even the videos that I used to find funny and enjoy, I just like, I just am like in this stage, and it could be because I'm a mom now, but I'm genuinely like, people are dying, Kim. People are dying. Why? Yes, I'm not saying you can't enjoy things. I know two things can be true, but what I'm saying is we need to start really being serious about what we post and why, and how can we bring value and move forward. Next is allowing receptivity. So, part of experiencing social media and connectivity online is knowing that it's a give and receive. I know there are people who love to just scroll and um, they only engage with people right before they post because it's really about them growing their following. And it's not a genuine engagement. It's like, oh, let me like this. Let me interact with the algorithm for 20, 30 minutes, then post and then interact some more. I'd rather you just not, because it's not intentional. And if it is intentional and it's your growth strategy, comment below and share more of your reasons why. I would love to hear, because I do understand the growth hacking. But I'm also like, if you're doing it because you just want clout, which what I'm seeing is a lot of people who are able to keep up with the trends, it's that genuine validation that moves them. But the people who really want to help and want to serve, their fear is actually keeping them from doing it because they're actually feeling like they're getting beat out by people who are vain and just want to post and get clout. Like, what is that sound? There's always random sounds in here. Lord, I'm so ready to move. God, monetization angels, help me. I'm so ready to move out this apartment. Um, so anyway, allowing receptivity, gate 2. I have gate 2 in my human design. It's in my conscious sun. Gate 2 is the energy of pure yin energy. And as I talk about bringing the divine feminine back to earth, moving on social media with a higher knowing, with a real purpose, because gate 2 is located in the G center, which is about yourself and your personal direction. It's the magnetic monopole. Think about it. If everything you do is moving you forward in time, you want to do the things that are moving you forward towards creating more community, more happiness in your life, and perhaps more income. And if your social media use is not actually doing any of those three things, then I would reconsider why I'm on social media. Again, it doesn't have to be about money because I mentioned community. If you're not building community, if you're not adding value, if you're just posting your cute pics, beauty is valuable. Gate 2 is, gate 1 and gate 2, this is energy of pure masculine, pure feminine energy. It's beautiful. But know that your value is not just in your beauty. You can be beautiful and show that you have value in other aspects of your life. And the way of the yin, the way of the yin, the way of the divine feminine, we move from a higher knowing. So it's not about doing what the algorithm needs you to do, it's doing what you need to do. This algorithm keeps up with me, honey, okay? Because I'm not sitting around. I do watch videos, it's good to kind of know what's going on, but I don't sit around and think, oh, I have this perfect video idea. Let me stop and search through Google Trends, the SEO, wait 2 weeks to see if anyone else talks about it. By then, the idea done gone to somebody else. So do things when you feel inspired. As I told you, I watched a TikTok video. I put my daughter to sleep. I'm exhausted, but I said, I know if I don't sit and do this video, given all the other stuff I have to do, I'm not going to post it. So here we are. I'm doing it because that's the only way sometimes. The only way when you're a light worker or you're someone with genuine intention, but you're in like the rock bottom type situation. You're in like a situation that calls you to use the bare minimum. Like you only got the bare minimum. You got to pull a Mariah. I'm going to do the best with what I got. This is one of those times for me, right? And within that, I'm making it work. And I'm like, I could have done this with my travel blog, but I wasn't at the mindset of service yet. I just wanted to do dope things and create dope things, which of course serves. But at the time, consciousness, God, it didn't come into fruition because it wasn't what was going to serve the collective best. Plus, there were a bunch of other travel bloggers with big followings and money. So they were able to carry and continue that journey. And I'm really happy because I've seen tons of Black creators and travel bloggers and businesses come since then. So I know that I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, the idea I had for my blog has come into fruition in another way. And that's all that matters because that's what we're here to be, just vessels for the creative spirit. Gate 1.6 in human design is about being the hollow bamboo. Gate 1 is the gate of the creative. And in the 6th line, the line of the role model, it's about understanding that when you are truly a soul being, you're just a medium for God to come through, and that you don't have an identity. Your identity, you're beyond ego at that point. And I know that there's a lot of creators I'm seeing do that, and I'm really, really excited. creators expressing that they're depressed and making beautiful art, creators that are showing that their home was like crazy filthy because they were going through a really deep depression and cleaning on camera to motivate other people, being of service, even though they could have been like, oh, I need help, and they could have let their victim mind beat them down. So know that whatever situation you're in, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you have internet, you already doing real good. And you probably got a phone, so you can create. All right, my arm hurts and my foot went numb, y'all. It's 50 minutes. All right, next is post in real time, no editing. No one's perfect. We all start somewhere. As you guys can see, I literally was like straight up, I don't want to say the wrong information. I pulled out my gene key book and I looked real quick to make sure I said the right hemisphere of the brain. It's not hard. Yes, because the left hemisphere is the logical patterns and the right side of the brain is actually creativity. So yes, it's not hard. It's not hard to edit yourself in the moment. It's not hard to say, oop, 2 seconds later, I found the right answer. People are going to understand, especially the people who are actually going to stay and be a part of your community long term. Most of the people that are leaving negative comments, they are the ones that are passing through. They probably would have never been a person who followed your page. And honestly, when people who are following your page for long periods of time start to leave negative comments, that often comes from jealousy because they weren't expecting you to be so far along, or they've seen your growth in real time, and because they can't do it themselves, it now makes them feel away. And it shouldn't. It should be that everyone could win. But I get it. We all go through periods where there's uncertainty, there's doubts, life tests us, we don't feel like we can, or we're getting a glimpse of what we can create through another person. So I get that, but honor yourself by being true to yourself and post in real time. A lot of times when we wait, I think I made my other video about spiritual creators. I'll probably link it in this one, about being a spiritual creator and tips. So definitely check it out too, especially because I'm wrapping this video up. You can watch it next. But as a spiritual creator, it's really important to honestly move in the moment, because that's how spirit works, right? Spirit, wind, air, energy, flow, it's constantly moving. So sometimes in divine timing, things will come out later. Like I post content later sometimes because I just know that that was meant to happen. If it didn't come out before, it was meant to come out when it comes out. And for Gate 17 in particular in human design, Richard Rudd, I'm actually going to read it because I could say it, but he just says it so well in here. Where is it? Oh, I'm going too far, too far. Also, since I happen to flip really quickly, Gate 18, the repressive nature is inferiority and the reactive nature is superiority, which is why this has a lot to do with authority and our authority figures when we're going through this mental development between the ages of 14 and 21. So when we are building a community and when we want to connect with other people, when we have a superior air to us or want to make someone feel less than us, that is immediately going to create that type of intention and energy within whatever you're building. I don't want to bring up particular creators' names, but there is a spiritual creator in particular that when she talks to her audience, I'm like, are you bullying them? And why are they sitting here like, yes, when you're like talking crazy? And to me, it's almost like an abusive relationship, because I'm like, do you like them? And then do you like them or do you not like them? And then the other thing is kind of talking to your audience, but you're really only responding to all the negative comments. I see that often. Not your priority. We're creating the world we want to see. We're creating the timeline we want to see. And I'm saying this for myself because I have to prepare for that. You cannot engage negativity and expect not to become a negative person. And I kind of gave you guys that story about the friendship because I want you to understand that Once you're in the repressive nature, you're going to draw someone in the reactive nature. That's just how polarity works. So we want to avoid that and be in integrity, the 18th gift, right? But going back to the Richard Rudd quote. Oh, here it is. Perfect. And this was my solar lunar, oh my gosh. This was my total solar eclipse message. When the 17th city comes into the world, it comes like a divine afterthought. It is one of the 7 powers of grace, serving no purpose other than to offer the truth that nothing need be done in life. Whatever you decide is absolutely correct and in full harmony with all that is. To see perfection is to embody perfection, the 18th city. And such a state is an ending rather than a beginning. Wherever the grace of omniscience is seen, human denial is finished. If you are following a path of service, it is correct. If you are following a path of betrayal, murder, or revenge, it is correct. Both when you are in denial, that's hard for me to read because I told you about the story I saw and I'll link it, but yeah, it's correct. Both when you are in denial and when you come out of denial. The truth of this 17th city creates upheaval in the world. We humans do not wish to hear a truth that so undermines our individual identities, but consciousness must express all its opinions through the world of form. The deepest irony of all is caught in one's famous mystic words: God can only come and visit you when you aren't there. To put it another way, if you want to know what omniscience looks like, you have to cease to exist, which means you have to be the hollow bamboo, as mentioned in Human Design Gate 1.6, or Gate 1.6 of the I Ching. I might say Human Design, Gene Keys, but whenever I say the line, it's the same reference in all of them. But yeah, so know that where you are right now, you're good enough to create content. No one's telling you not to start your content journey. This just is a video to remind you of the purpose and intention behind it, because you can come out the gate creating amazing things that are valuable for the collective right now. If you have a moment of inwardness, self-reflection, looking at your ikigai, what you're passionate about, what's easy for you to do, because it's passion, ease, your skill, your competency, your flexibility in doing it, and how it serves others, right? Because part of living on this earth and doing things is for others, right? So you want to make sure what you're doing serves others. I don't know why I'm so emotional this video. It's probably because I'm tired. So next is turn your sensitivity into power and help empower others. We can say we're highly sensitive, but if we're highly sensitive and we're just feeling the impact of the energy and not responding on that, then it's kind of pointless, right? Because the point of us going through these experiences and feelings is to awaken something. And right now, as I'm making this video, Human Design Gate 51 transited, and Human Design Gate 51 is the gate of shock, and the shadow frequency of shock is agitation. And shadow doesn't necessarily mean negative, although oftentimes it can be related to what's negative, but it's the shadow because it's a frequency that permeates. And agitation is vibration, but almost vibration that's like bubbling up within you. And the thing is, shocking situations, as the article I read on the news, can sometimes trigger you into the awakening you need, which is this city or highest frequency of Gate 51. So, and because it makes you do the gift of taking initiative. So know that you can channel those negative experiences and that negative energy into something really, really positive. My YouTube channel is built off of projector bitterness. It's built off of the fact that my human design chart says that I have patience, low-key, and detriment, and that I have work in detriment. Like, it's hard for me to work. And I just didn't want to sit with that information and take it as with a victim mind and say, oh, I'm not capable of creating because my chart says I'm this, or because I'm a projector, I can't do this, and I can only work 3 hours a day and nap for 42. No, because that is not the point of gaining this information. It's to awaken, it's to agitate yourself and your genes into wanting to do different and be different. So use that energy, channel that energy. My channel is built off the energy of going through really hard romantic relationships and having to learn my value and my power, educating myself on human behaviors so I can learn to protect my energy and also literally feel safe in my body, learning to grow in empathy, because when you understand that this is just part of the human process, these behaviors and these patterns, you just say, oh, I don't want to be in this. I can see that this is the repressive and this is the reactive, and I can see that my energy might be reactive right now. So how do I disengage? You can learn so much from taking time to be a daughter and consume content, but then know that when you are often the person that's giving advice to people, if you are often the person that is holding space and feeling like no one can hold space for you, it's probably because you're not in community with people who see your skills and gifts. So you need to be a part of an army, a group of sisters, or a group of people that can amplify your gifts, uplift your gifts, see your gifts. Why my fridge so loud? See your gifts, amplify them, uplift them. I felt like I always am and want to be the person that is pouring into my friends. So I will make funny jokes about my friends to them, about like positive things. I'd be like, you have such beautiful hair. You need to go cut it and make a weave girl. Or somebody will buy that for like, not cut it and make weave, but like somebody will buy your hair and make a bomb weave out of it. Like, I'm not actually caring if someone buys their hair or make a weave out of it, but it's like my way of basically like complimenting. And I think that like when you're a person that's always pouring into your friends like that, reminding them of their beauty, reminding them of their heart, reminding them of their spirit, you need people who want to do that for you. But if they feel judged by you, or if they feel like you're on a different path, you're going to naturally create that inferiority, superiority, because they feel like that. So it's really important to then change your environment and be an environment that makes you feel good. For me in particular, I felt that on Instagram. I felt that people were projecting onto me that I was superior to them because they saw I had a following. And with that, it created a very odd dynamic because I wasn't trying to engage them in that energy of making them feel inferior. So it ended up leaving me with very little engagement, especially when I started moving into sharing my human design contemplations. Even the friends who wanted to see my contemplations or who are interested in human design, they didn't want to support my posts. And that's cool, because I don't want to be in a dynamic or reactive repressive nature with you. So it just shows me that, oh, that's just not maybe where my community is going to be right now. Maybe YouTube is better for me. And it has been. I'm almost at my 1,000 subscribers here, and it feels super good. I told myself if I get at least 1 subscriber every time I post a video, I will keep posting. I'm actually at over 800 videos because I just kept posting anyway. Almost 900 actually. But just having that momentum of like, if I post and it serves someone or they comment, I'm gonna keep posting. That was enough for me to like open my heart enough to just want to keep posting. So now when I see stories like what I saw in the news today, I'm just like, how can I expand my container more, where I can hold space for people more often. I know I'm a mom. I know that my life is really busy. I know that I'm tired and I get very little sleep. But one thing I've learned from
the midwives who helped bring my daughter into the world is they are some of the most self-sacrificial people. And it's the self-sacrificial people that actually make the world go round, that actually make the world a better place. It's Michelle Obama having 10 years of a strained marriage. I shouldn't say strained, she didn't say that, but you know, a marriage that like wasn't as easy to navigate for 10 years because she saw the power and purpose in her husband and in herself in becoming the people that they needed to be. So think about that. Know that part of doing this, part of being a hero, people hate Nickelback, but I love that song, Hero. It's so good. You gotta stand up and do it. They say a hero could save us. I'm not gonna be the one to wait, because if we are, ain't nobody coming. So you gotta think like that if you want to really change the world. And know that even if you're changing your corner of the planet, even if you're changing yourself, simply if you're in your daughter era and you are changing yourself and you're just learning and you're in your superior woman era, know that that is enough to change the world. That is enough to shift the morphogenetic field of the people around you to want to change the world. I may not always agree with my mom, with the choices she made, with the choices I've made, but one thing I can say is her choosing to live a life of integrity has changed the world for me. It made me actually a little naive to the fact that a lot of people don't operate in integrity in the world. But at least even when I had those horrible experiences, I was able to come back and say, well, I do know a few people who have integrity. And I do know a few people who've been a voice that I needed to hear. When I think about all the creators I had to listen to get to the point of even making this video, or all the 800 videos I made, it took thousands of people to shape my perception, shape my life, help me see. It took a lot of experiences, and experiences come through people. So know that it takes time, and life is a continual journey. I'll forever be a student of Earth School, but know it is worth every minute of it, because you're going to change the world, period. So let me see, it is now 2:20. Wait, did I actually delete my note? No. Okay, I thought I deleted my note, but I was at my last note. But yeah, help empower others. Help empower others. This video is really long. This is probably the longest video I've ever made, but I don't want to edit it because I don't think I have to. And that's just my editing style. I know my gifts. I know what I am, that my editing style is no editing. But just, you know, your skills. And I'm doing this because as my channel grows, I want people to see there are so many ways you can show up in the world authentically as yourself that can bring ease, peace, joy, and fulfillment to your life, as well as the lives of others. So I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. And I hope you're having an amazing day and drinking water and not watching so many horrible things on the news. And if you are empowering yourself, and you are transmuting that energy into creativity and something the world wants to see. And Indy woke up. Hi, baby. Why is she wanted to keep her jacket on, which was so cute. You heard mommy talking? She's still waking up. Look, she looks. I love having an Aquarius. All right, for real. I'll see you guys in the next video. I now have things to do. Peace.